Hello and welcome back to another question and answer session brought to you by Path of the Just Ministry. This is video number 4 as we deal with the question of the 2520. In our last presentation, we looked at some of the reasons why Elder James White was led to reject the 2520 as being a valid time prophecy. It's because many people in the 1850s were beginning to recalculate the various time prophecies that are found on the 1843 and 1850 chart. We discussed the 1854 time movement, where we had a new prophetic chart by Elder Cummings in which he reinterpreted the 2300 days based upon the understanding that the daily represented the Jewish sacrifices of the earthly temple that were to be taken away and then also restored. We saw that various errors came in to attack and to destroy the third angel's message. And now we're going to look at Hiram Edson as also being a key factor in this controversy, in which I believe personally was another contributing reason why Elder James White rejected the 2520. Hiram Edson was asked to write some articles by Elder James White. He was requested to write it for the review. And so he begins to write a series of articles called The Times of the Gentiles, which he started January 10th, 1856. Now, he did not complete the series of articles, but in it, he's dealing with the 7 times of the 2520. And of course, Hiram Edson actually challenged the traditional majority view that 677 being the starting point for the 2520. He actually says that it should have started in 723 BC and not with 677 BC. And this is his article to Elder James White. Dear Brother White, as I have been informed that the inquiry has arisen why I have remained so long silent, I would just say that I have been necessarily employed in manual labor, providing for my family, and have had but little time either to read or write. And worn with excessive toil, I have felt but little disposition or spirit of writing, and hence am poorly prepared to write anything that would be of service to the church. But what little sympathy and zeal I have had in exercise for the cause of truth has been with the review and those who have borne the heat and burden of the day in advancing the truths it advocates. As you recently requested me to write out for the review some of the prominent leading points of my long and matured article, such as the evidences on the beginning and ending of the 7 prophetic times of the 2520 years of Leviticus 26. So understand that Elder James White asked him to write about the 2520, the ending and the beginning, because he was actually challenging and questioning whether or not 677 was the true starting point of this time prophecy in Leviticus 26. As I continue, as I have not time at present to mature the subject, I send you a portion of the broken, unmatured ideas as they are. I do not ask that they now go out as adopted or sanctioned by the review, but merely for the examination and inspection of the brethren. And if the subject by them be judged to be of service to the church and worthy of further investigation, then it may hereafter be revised, improved, and carried out in its further bearing and extent. The Advent Chart of 1843, without doubt, was arranged in the order of God's counsel, but perfection of knowledge in understanding all parts of the inspired volume had not then been attained. Knowledge is still increasing. It is evident that God saw fit to suffer a mistake in some of the figures on the 43 chart, but for wise purposes hid that mistake until the proper time arrived for the mistake to be developed. There was no mistake in the figures given on the chart for the beginning of the 2300 days. There must also of necessity be, and there was, a harmony of the dates of the 1260, the 1290, the 1335 days with that of the 2300 days. These then were all correct. True, there was a mistake in the minds or faith and teaching of Advent believers in dating the commencement of the 2300 days from the first month of 457 BC, but this mistake was not on the chart. 457 is the true year from which to reckon the 2300 days. 457 and 1843 full years added together make just 2300 full years. Hence, there was no mistake on the chart in all these figures, and as I understand, the time which the angel of Revelation 10, 5, and 6 wore should be no longer included all prophetic time, and that testimony given and that most solemn oath was fulfilled in the time of the 10th of the seventh month movement, 1844. Hence, I believe that all of the prophetic periods were then ended and none of them can be extended beyond that point. So he says the 2300 days is correct, the 1290, the 1335, 1260, all true. So he does not acknowledge any mistake in the calculation of those prophetic periods. However, notice what he says is actually a mistake on the chart. But as there were no historical events occurring in 1843 and 44, which could in any wise answer the fulfillment of events predicted to transpire at the end of the seven times, or 25-20 years indignation or captivity of the people of God, and certainly their captivity should be turned when their appointed time was accomplished, then I necessarily conclude that there must have been a mistake on the chart in the figures of 677 BC. As the point from which to reckon the seven times of 25-20 years indignation upon the people of God. And as this period cannot be extended this side of 1843 and 44, the conclusion is irresistible that this divinely appointed period terminated sometime prior to 1843 and 44. Hence, I feel at liberty to look for some other historical event aside from and prior to the carrying of Manasseh, king of Judah, to Babylon 677 BC, from which to reckon the seven times, and for some corresponding historical events which mark their termination and the appointed end of the indignation. So then he starts it at 723 BC when Hoshea, king of Israel, was taken into captivity by the Assyrian king of the north. And then, of course, if it starts in 723 BC, then it ends in 1798 AD with the Pope of Rome receiving a deadly wound. And of course, 1798 is when the trampling and also the scattering actually ended for God's people. And so you can see that at this point, when Hiram Etzen now recalculates or reinterprets the 2520, says 677 was a mistake, we already have the 1854 time prophecy movement that reinterpreted the 2300 days. So now we have all this confusion, we have all this perplexity, all this doubt. There are people that are actually trying to readjust all the time prophecy. So Elder James White comes out with an article and says, based upon the Hebrew and Greek, in Leviticus 26, there is no 2520. And so these are some of the reasons why I believe that Elder James White actually gave up the seven times, because Hiram Etzen challenged one of the foundational pillars of the movement and switched the 2520 starting from 677 to 723 BC. Well, we do hope that this is shedding light on this question concerning why Elder James White no longer believed in the 2520. And as always, we do hope and pray that your eyes have been enlightened as you've tasted a little of this honey.